Now we are. So we've got some severe weather right now. Not much. Nice little severe thunderstorm down here. Where are we? Moving through Alabama. 3/4 inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Pretty weak storm. Not much going on. We do have a mesoscale discussion for some strong winds and some decent-sized hail. EF1, EF0 tornadoes potentially out here over the next 2 hours out there in western Texas. Up through the panhandle of Texas. Trade jumping hundreds. Yeah. I haven't been streaming as much as I used to. My 9 to 5 has just become super demanding. Which is, well, it's going really well. And so I have more responsibilities. But that takes away from this, which I don't, which is unfortunate. But one day the goal is to do this full time, and I won't have to worry about that anymore. Should Central Alabama be worried? Yeah, I don't think anyone needs to be worried. Now, we have heavy rainfall mesoscale discussions out here. So if you're in a low-lying area in Alabama, down near some creeks, near a river, probably want to make sure that you're paying attention to your alerts, making sure. There's going to be some flash flood warnings spread across Alabama likely today. It's just a lot of rainfall falling at a very fast rate. Possible to get a weak tornado, I would say. Weak to moderate, but likely weak tornado up here, northeastern Georgia. North central, northeastern Georgia, northwestern South Carolina. So that's something else to watch. We do have a severe thunderstorm out here right now. You can see there's a little bit of broad rotational shear up here. We have these storms moving, this severe thunderstorm warning moving to the north through Abbeville. I appreciate that, Double D. Yeah. I honestly, yeah. It's if I miss streaming on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's because work is kicking my butt. This Wednesday, it was kind of quiet, so I didn't really care that much. I mean, I did see we had a strong tornado touchdown in Colorado on Wednesday, though, out in the middle of nowhere, right? Out in the middle of a field. So I want to go over kind of everything that's ahead of us. We just had, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. We just had one of the, I think, a record, or so far we're having a record-breaking slow tornado season for the month of May. Through the first 22 days of May, this has been a record-setting slow. There's been less tornadoes. I think it's less tornadoes in the U.S., but I know Oklahoma has seen zero tornadoes in the month of May. Yes, you guys have heard me right. You haven't been on my For You page for so long? Yeah. Well, when I went from posting every day to posting 3 or 4 times a week, and TikTok didn't like that. But yes, 0 tornadoes in the month of May in Oklahoma. In an Enzo neutral. I think this has to do with we're really pushing over to an El Nino very, very, very quickly. And we've had some really significant drought conditions because of it. That has something to do with it. Our jet stream just hasn't been really cranking the way it usually does with that southwesterly flow at the 500 millibar level this May. We're probably going to get a nice one more little severe outbreak before we push over in the summer. I doubt we're going to get out of May with 0 tornadoes in Oklahoma. I mean, if we do, great for Oklahoma, but that would be impressive. So, speaking of that, actually, and we should take a look at some stuff on Pivotal Weather. I want to show you guys kind of what's ahead. We'll take a look at tropical tidbits, see what's going on with hurricane season as well. So, let's pull this bad boy over here. All right, we'll turn that off for a second. And let's take a look at the GFS. Let's take a look at the 500 millibar level. Let's take a look at the 500 millibar level, and we're going to see, do we have any severe weather, any significant severe weather ahead of us that we should be watching out for? Here we are right now. We can zoom in on this a little bit. I actually want to, yeah. Well, it's fine. We can see this. Okay. So, moving ahead, pretty slow pattern. Nothing really impressive. Now, getting out to nice little bowling ball trough, diving down here. Look at that donut. Look at that donut. This would be around the 27th, so this would be around next Wednesday, Thursday. This thing doesn't even, I mean, it's not really ejecting, though, across the country. It's diving down. This is probably going to bring some heavy rainfall, some cooler conditions to the Rockies, to the west. Nothing ejects. I mean, you could get some severe weather, I would say, with this type of setup in the western plains. But, again, this is still looking slow overall. So let me get my pen so I can show you. I mean, maybe you get some severe weather out here, right? Some short waves, something out here. I mean, overall, though, it's looking pretty boring, which some people are happy about, some people aren't. There's nothing in the forecastable range that jumps off the map at all. At all. There's nothing even in like the 384 range that jumps off the map, if I'm being honest, severe weather-wise. Really crazy low pressure spinning down into New England. That would be interesting to see what happens with that. I mean, but overall, there's just nothing here that looks that impressive to me. So we take a look at tropical tidbits, and let's take a look at our tropical updates. The ocean is still on fire. We are definitely transitioning into potentially a record-breaking, all-time record-breaking El Nino. We'll see. The waters are very, very toasty in the western Atlantic still. And the one area that, the only area really I have concern about for strong tropical development and landfall would be out here. And that's because we're going to be in a really strong El Nino. Very likely going to be a really strong / super El Nino as we get into the middle end of hurricane season. And we're just going to have so much shear here. We're not going to be really, it's going to be tough for any tropical cyclones that form out in the tropical Atlantic to pass through this region and make landfall without being shredded to pieces by vertical wind shear. So this area, early in the season before our super El Nino is set in, we could get some storms that develop very close to shore and make landfall, and the water's toasty. So, but, you know, I think there's a pretty short window for that, and storms that, you know, form close to shore don't have a lot of time for strengthening. So that's good. Once again, though, the water's out here. If we take a look, very toasty, 28, 29 degrees. They're between 80 and 90 degrees out here, more than warm enough. And here's what's going on with our ENSO 3.4 index. So this is what decides if we're in a La Nina, an ENSO neutral, or an El Nino. And we're currently sitting in El Nino conditions. We are in El Nino conditions. We are not officially, actually, no, we're not officially in an El Nino. Okay, so let's call it May 20th or April 20th. That's when we entered El Nino territory in the ENSO 3.4. That would mean we wouldn't actually officially be in an El Nino until 3 months after that. So May, June, July 20th. But we have ENSO. We have El Nino conditions. So, and that's what matters more anyway. So who cares about, you know, officially entering El Nino? Really quickly, let's take a look at what's going on from a forecasting perspective. We'll take a look at the Western Atlantic. Here we go. I did see people were posting on X about a tropical storm or hurricane at the end of the GFS, 380 hours out. So I'm sure I'll see that, but let's take a look. I'd call this a little bit of a disturbance to watch right here. Nothing, no tropical cyclogenesis showing up or anything, but 1006 millibar, low pressure in the northwestern Caribbean, which is probably the warmest waters in the Atlantic Basin right now. Something to watch for sure as we get into next week, but nothing really there yet. Move forward a little bit. You can see it spinning, moving over Cuba, and then it gets launched. So it gets shredded. It gets shredded by this shear by this big low pressure system to the north. So even if it does develop, probably not much room for it there. We move a little bit further, not much there. Let's take a look at the 6Z, see if it showed something similar. Yes, sees the storm trying to form, and then it gets pulled off into the open Atlantic. We don't have a high pressure blocking. As I've said, we really don't want a high pressure to set up here and stall early on in hurricane season, because storms will try to move out, and then that high pressure will direct them right into us. It'll steer them right into us. We have a high pressure that's kind of floating out to sea, which is good. That gives a window for these storms to move off into the east. That's the direction these storms want to go in the northern hemisphere. Anyways, they're always eventually going to make their way east. It's how far west do they go. Sometimes they drift, this way, but for the most part, they're going to try to get pulled east because our jet stream moves west to east. So if they go far enough north, if they pass really this line, they're going to get tugged eventually. It's really tough once they get north of I'd say, these islands for storms to go back west. All right. So not much going on there. What were people looking at? What model were people looking at where they were calling for, where they were saying there's a, I probably shouldn't even look at it because I don't want to put that in people's heads. But yeah. So we're looking pretty good right now. We could actually zoom out and look at the whole Atlantic, but there's very likely nothing going on across the rest of the Atlantic. The waters are very warm, are very below average, very cool out there in the tropical Atlantic. Look, nothing happening in the tropical Atlantic. Cool waters, big high pressure system sitting out here. This is our seasonal high, our Bermuda high, and it's sitting very far to the south. Very far to the south. A little bit weird. There, that's where I'm used to it. That's where I'm used to it. Or that's where I'm used to it being. Okay. So nothing happening in the tropical Atlantic. Boring. Severe weather, boring. Tropical activity, boring. Is there something interesting going on with our temperatures maybe? By the way, I canceled my subscription to, I usually like using Weather Bell for that. It's like $70 or $80 a month. So when it's not like fall or winter time, there's no point in using it because I mainly use it for winter stuff. So we'll take a look on here. Let's take a look at our temperature anomalies. Please tell me there's something interesting going on with our temperature. I know there's a lot of precipitation in the forecast, so that's something that I want to talk with you guys about, and then I'll get to some questions. But everything's been pretty boring. Let's take a look. Let me get to my anomalies. Sorry, guys, 1 second. There we go. Not PWatt anomalies. Here we go. Temperature anomalies. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, and I know it. It feels like it was 39 degrees this morning. 39 degrees. May 22nd. Up here in Minneapolis. Okay. Very, very cold conditions as we get into tomorrow. Beautiful way to start Memorial Day weekend for you guys up there in the Mid-Atlantic and New England, huh? 25 degrees below average. I know that stinks. Then we move ahead a little bit. Ooh, beautiful Sunday for you guys up there in New England. 20 degrees below average. Beautiful. Beautiful. You guys are going to be feeling nice. You guys are going to be having a great time. I'm being sarcastic. That stinks. Down into the low 50s, high 40s. I do think your Monday is going to be much better, though. I could be wrong, though. Maybe I should go and not speak before. Okay, not as bad. We're talking 10 to 15 degrees below average, not 20 to 25 degrees below average. So maybe you get into the 60s, low 70s maybe as we get into Monday. So not as bad. Yeah, it actually gets pretty nice as we get into Monday afternoon, Monday evening. So I think your Memorial Day weekend will be okay in New England. I think because if we go back up to our temperatures here, yeah, you get at least, it gets warm enough you don't need to wear a jacket outside. Now, for actual Sunday for the rest of the country, average to above average for the central to northern plains and the Rockies. But look at our Monday. We are steaming through portions, really from Kansas north up there in the northern Rockies, upper Midwest as well. It's probably going to be a beautiful day for most people in the Southeast, average to below average temperatures. So honestly, slightly below average temperatures in late May is pretty nice for a lot of you in the Southeast and up and down the East Coast. It's not going to be super steaming. I know we don't want it to be 90 degrees either on Memorial Day weekend, Indy 500 need a good update for Sunday. Indianapolis. Okay, Sunday. I almost said, where is it? That would have been dumb. What time is the race at? What time does it start at? For the most part, average to slightly below average temperatures. That's actually nice. You're not going to be scorching hot in Indianapolis. You're not going to be freezing cold. 12:45. Yeah, look at that. I mean, right around 1 p.m. right now, we're looking at potentially 5 degrees below average, so not too bad. Not too bad for the Indy 500. Look at that. High 60s. That's a beautiful start to the day. High 60s and likely, well, I don't want to say sunny yet. Okay, actually, let's take a look at the precipitation, because sometimes cooler temperatures come with rainfall. And it does look like we could have some scattered showers, but they're moving east. They're moving east. Will they be out on time? Ooh, today is Friday. Yes, we should be able to take a look at our Rufus and actually get a better answer for that. Let's take a look. Okay, so this would be Sunday. So it doesn't look like severe. It looks like potentially some showers, scattered showers, moving through the region. Let's see. Scattered showers moving through the region. Right now, the Rufus has potentially some strong thunderstorms to the south of Indianapolis, and this would be exactly what you'd want. Storms just to stay just to your south, because you'd have then some cooler conditions and no rainfall. So it's going to be a close call. You really don't want. I mean, Indianapolis is where, like right here, somewhere right there. Here, let's take a look. You guys are really smack center of the state. So right around here. Right now it looks like the strongest storms, at least the actual thunderstorms, not just maybe a quick shower, are all going to stay south. So hopefully that stays the same, and it should be. The temperatures look like they're going to be really nice. Yeah, definitely not looking like a washout currently. All right. Speaking of washout, last thing I wanted to take a look at with everyone, and I'll answer some questions, is I want to take a look at our precipitation forecast. So really quickly here, let's take a look. Next 48 hours. Well, next 24 hours. Here we go. Lots of rainfall for portions of the Ohio Valley. It's really the Ohio Valley, Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley. You guys know where you are over here. Decent rainfall for portions of the Dakotas and western Minnesota, northwestern Iowa. Stays out east as we go out another day, 48 hours and then 72 hours. You can even see here, taking a look at the 72-hour forecast, Indianapolis is in this zone that I would consider. I mean, that's literally a tenth of an inch or 20th of an inch of rain. Southeastern Indiana is getting soaked. So right now, the National Weather Service as well agrees that it looks like the worst of the rainfall is going to stay just to the southeast. I actually want to take a look at that on here really quick. We'll take a look at the Weather Prediction Center multi-day 72-hour rainfall forecast. And you zoom into Indiana, and they have Indiana as getting a 0.3 of an inch, up to half an inch. But then you go to the south, and then we're talking close to an inch to up to potentially localized areas of 1.5 to 2 inches. So, yeah, as long as this doesn't adjust to the northwest, I think they're good. So there's the 72-hour, getting out towards 5 days, much of the same. This is actually great to see out at the 5-day range from the Weather Prediction Center. We need rainfall in a lot of these areas, so heavy rainfall for Gulf states and especially the southeast. This is going to be good. This is really going to help your drought. Your state might let you put your sprinklers back on. I don't know if I remember growing up when we'd have bad droughts in Florida, they'd be like ticketing people for putting their sprinklers on. Look at that, the 7-day forecast. This is exactly what we need for this drought. But it's going to be a lot of rainfall. All right, so what's going on, everyone? So, yeah, nothing too exciting happened. I mean, honestly, the most interesting thing that's happening probably over the next week, 7 to 10 days, is it's getting we're going to get very cool through portions of the Mid-Atlantic, especially New England, and tons of rainfall on the way for the Ohio Valley and especially the Southeast. Other than that, there's really not much to talk about, not even with the tropics or anything like that. Yeah. Think Kansas City will have any rain tomorrow? I'm going to the zoo. Let's take a look. You know what? Here, let's while we're on here. Actually, I like looking at it like this. Let's go to our. We'll take a look at the HRRR. We'll do our normal precipitation. Do 18Z, and let's just take a look at our normal precipitation. Kansas City. The thing is, right now it looks dry, but is there capping that's happening out here? Let me take a look at let me take a sounding out here tomorrow. No. No, I don't think there's a capping. I don't think there's any capping issues. I think it's just dry. You guys can see there's not a ton of moisture down at the surface. We don't have a lot of moisture down at the surface there. So yeah, I think it should be a dry day. I don't think we're gonna get any surprise. Maybe a tiny little shower. You could get a surprise tiny shower, but for the most part, I think it's gonna be a nice day. Yeah. What's going on, Extremely Confused Blonde? Fisher, do you want to come say hi? You haven't said hi in a while. Been a while since you said hi, right? You gonna come say hi, Stream? Come here. Okay. Say hi, Stream.
Hi, Stream.
Say I love you, Stream.
I love you, Stream.
Okay. All right. I'll be done soon. That's been a while. But yeah. I mean, listen, I think this is a good stretch of weather. No one's really going to be experiencing extreme heat. It's going to get a little cold for New England, unfortunately, but we're getting a lot of rainfall in areas where we need it, and we're not going to see a lot of severe weather, no crazy tropical activity. For someone like me who loves severe weather and hurricanes and just crazy weather, for the science of it, obviously, not for the destruction of it, but it's... Oh, hi, buddy. It stinks for me, but it's good for people. We don't need destruction, right? Love you. That's what I was hoping for. It's supposed to be in the 70s and not baking the whole time. Yeah, it should be a nice day out there. Yeah, it should be a nice day out there tomorrow. I can take a look at the temperature forecast here as well. Let's see. Look at that. Here, let me go to the 18Z. Yeah, look at that. Mid to low 70s and dry. It's going to be a nice day in the Central Plains. Southern Kansas, central to southern Missouri could see a little bit of rainfall, but overall not too bad. Not too bad. I want to actually see... I'm sure people have already seen those maps that are like, where's going to experience the best weather on Memorial Day? Let me go to the GFS. Look at that high def radar. Let's see, Memorial Day is... What's the actual date? 25th? Pretty dry for a lot of the country, except for the southeast. Portions of the Ohio Valley. You guys. Oh, nice. You know what? The U.S. deserves this. We've had some crazy springs back to back to back, so... I'll tell you what, boring weather doesn't help my channel. But I have had I've had more time to hang out with my family and focus on work. That's the good thing. Inevitably, there's going to be a stretch of crazy weather again anyways. There always is. This must be what it feels like to live in Europe. Their weather's so boring. Yeah, no tornadoes in Oklahoma in May is in fact insane. Insane. Going 22 days straight. No, how many days straight has it been with no tornadoes in Oklahoma? That's what I want to know. How many days straight has it been in spring? Hold up. It's been 29 days since Oklahoma's had a tornado. And this is through peak tornado season. It's going to be 30 days tomorrow. That is crazy. Wow. No, I don't. I've never really bought into the whole Tornado Alley shifting thing. There's always been a higher frequency of tornadoes in Dixie Alley and Ohio Valley. There's always been a higher frequency. As technology has improved and as we have more chasers out who have confirmed more, we're starting to see more and more and more and more and more tornadoes, or record more and more and more tornadoes through Ohio Valley and Dixie Alley out here. Well, a big reason for that is this area is like 50 times more populated than Tornado Alley. Well, Tornado Alley is actually like this. Well, I wouldn't put Minneapolis in it, but Tornado Alley is like this. But so as every year there's more and more chasers, there's more and more trained spotters, and we have better radar and satellite, and we're confirming more tornadoes, and we're like, wow, there's so many more tornadoes out in Ohio Valley and Dixie Alley now. No. There's always been that many tornadoes there. We're just recording more. The strongest tornadoes are still in Tornado Alley. Tornado Alley gets the strongest if you look back at all the strongest tornadoes, it's going to be like 75 to 85% of them are going to be in Tornado Alley. But the Tornado Alley's frequency has always been lower than Dixie Alley, or I would say Dixie Alley, Ohio Valley. It's always been lower. There's a lot more instability out here. What happens is you get dry line tornadoes that crank out in the plains. That can absolutely just get huge and sustain off the dry line. So, but yeah, I mean, there's plenty. I mean, there's people who argue back and forth on is it shifting or not. The intensity is there's been no decrease in intensity, or there's been no shift in intensity. Like we're not seeing stronger tornadoes to the east. We're still seeing the strongest in Tornado Alley, like we always have. We're just recording a lot. People are realizing now that we're recording so many more, that how many there actually are out there. Yeah, last time Oklahoma was tornado free was May of 2005. Yeah, that's crazy. We've had a lack of instability in the plains, and I think that's due to our waters in the Pacific rapidly warming ahead of schedule. They entered El Nino. They entered El Nino super fast. El Nino tornado seasons are slower, but we didn't think we'd be cranking into El Nino conditions for like another month. But it happened a month ago. So we started to see while that transition was happening, we started to see a little bit of a drought in between it, and we weren't seeing a lot of moisture, as much moisture as we usually do pushing up into the southern plains. I think there's a lack of instability. As soon as you start getting into El Nino too, your polar jet stops diving south. It loses its strength. It loses its amplitude. Yeah. Yeah, 29 straight days without a tornado during tornado season. I'm interested to see how long it goes. It is pretty crazy. It is. Well, I'm going to go spend the day or the evening with my fam. We're going to go to B-Dubs, Buffalo Wild Wings. And, yeah. And, I'm happy that we're not seeing any wild severe weather or tropical weather or anything like that ahead, but also I'm secretly, not secretly anymore, hoping things get a little more interesting. Although, like I said, I expect it. If we're going to have a bad hurricane season, it's going to be front-loaded. We don't have much time. We could. The new models are projecting that we literally could have the strongest El Nino on record, ever recorded. Super El Ninos do crazy stuff to the planet. We're talking about like global freaking food shortages, droughts, and then like areas that have like historic flooding at the same time as we're having droughts. Because we have to remember, the Pacific Ocean is the largest body of water on the planet. When the largest body of water on the planet, if the largest body of water on the planet gets to the hottest it's ever been, that puts a lot of moisture into the air. It cranks up our subtropical jet, and it pulls a ton of moisture towards the tropics, and it takes a lot of moisture out of the subtropics. So then you have this like crazy like the not the subtropics really. You know what I mean? The mid latitudes, like, you know what I mean? A super El Nino, you're cranking a ton of moisture through this area, and you're drying up everything to the north and to the south of it. So you get like super wet seasons, but also you get super dry seasons, and people can't grow crops, and it's crazy. It's crazy. You see huge contrasts when you get a strong El Nino. If we get the strongest one on record, there's going to be all sorts of bad stuff happening around the globe. Definitely, especially through. I mean, our country will feel it, but especially countries that are like, I mean, you're going to have crazy wet seasons in the tropics. I would expect insane flooding through Central America if we get that strong. Central and portions of South America too. Southern California really feels El Ninos. I mean, Southern California could see historic. I mean, if you look at, I posted this the other day on my Instagram, but the most expensive. What is it? Not all of them, but the majority of the most expensive flooding years were during El Nino years. You get your subtropical jet cranking into South California. Heavy rainfall, day after day, lots of mudslides, lots of issues down there. The Southwest in general could see a lot of rainfall, a lot of above average rainfall, as we especially get into late summer. But if you like snow and you live in the South, this could be your winter. This could be your winter. I would expect above average snow totals for everyone in the South this next winter, if we maintain our strong El Nino, which I think we will. It's going to be like Oprah. You get snow, you get snow, you get snow. You're all going to get snow. So, that'll be interesting. A lot of things to think about ahead. All right, everyone. You could. I'm telling you. We get a super El Nino. It could be a really great winter for the South. Everyone, enjoy your Fridays. I'll be streaming again this weekend. I'll let you know on the Discord when I'm getting on. But yeah, if you don't see me talking too much, it's because there's not much going on. We do have a little bit of a severe weather threat, I believe, tomorrow. Just a little bit of a marginal. Let's take a look. Watch out there in western Texas, Panhandle of Texas today. Could get weak tornadoes. Day 2, a little marginal spread everywhere. Day 3. But overall, not too much to worry about. Everyone enjoy your Friday. Yeah. Caroline, facts. We will. We had a casual like 50 or 48 inches this year. 50 inches this year. All right. See you guys.